So how did you first get interested in playing hockey?
I first got interested in playing hockey with my sister. My older sister is 5 years older than me, and she was a figure skater. And my parents used to bring me to the rink, the Hamden Ice Rink, as a little boy, and I used to watch her skate. And then I was mesmerized by most little kids by the Zamboni. And then after the Zamboni, the boys came on the ice to play hockey. And I told my mom and dad one day, I said, that's what I want to do. And fortunately, they gave me the opportunity, bought me skates, and got me going.
And what other sports did you play growing up?
I played baseball growing up, and I played football as well. And I think that's probably one of the things that's changed significantly for a lot of young hockey players now, is that they're starting to specialize at an early age, which I'm actually old school in my thought. I think that a lot of kids should really stay with playing multiple sports until they reach about 16, 17 years of age.
Now, did you continue playing those sports in prep school as well?
I did. When I went away to the gunnery school as a repeat 10th grader, I played football in the fall, and in the springtime I picked up rowing, and I rowed crew. And that was a great experience because it's a lot of aerobic work, and there's a big mental element to it that I found to be helpful later in my college playing days.
Can you share how you feel Taft is different from other prep schools?
Taft has a program that provides a lot of structure for their 9th and 10th grade students, and then as our students transition from 10th grade into 11th and 12th grade, there's less structure for them. And Taft's a really contained place. We can actually take that structure away from our 11th and 12th graders, but still be around and give them the support they need in whatever way, shape, or form things start to go a little sideways for them. We can help them get back on track pretty easily.
You received a full scholarship to the University of Maine, and also you were chosen 5th round pick by the Boston Bruins. How did you decide to go to the University of Maine over playing professionally?
The University of Maine, on July 1st, they were the first school to visit my house and sit down in our living room and talk with me and my parents about the merits of going to the University of Maine. And my dad's pretty old school in nature, and he thought that because they showed the most interest right from the get-go that would be in my best interest. And my parents didn't go to college, and they wanted to make sure that I had a college degree. And I wasn't aware of the statistic of 0.5% making it to pro hockey at the time, but I knew it'd be pretty tough, and I wanted to have a degree to fall back on, and that's how I ended up in Orono.
You won a national championship in 1993 at the University of Maine. What was that like?
It was actually an unbelievable experience. I think the greatest part about it was the fact that we had so many good hockey players that were really smart hockey players. If you actually look at that roster and the number of guys that played in the NHL for a long time, it was very few. Garth Snow obviously had a pretty good run in the NHL, as well as Mike Dunham and Paul Kariya. But then after that, Jimmy Montgomery and Mark and Petrus Tardif and Matt Martin and a few of the other guys had short careers in the NHL, but we had just a lot of good college hockey players that really understood the game and knew how to play the game well with one another and were really unselfish. And they were really great teammates, and I think that's probably the main reason why we were so successful.
And how did you balance going to college and being a Division I hockey player?
And that's something that I share with a lot of our student athletes here at Taft, is that when you go to be a Division I college athlete, that pretty much is a business transaction. If they've invested scholarship money in you, they're going to try to take as much of your time as they possibly can within the confines of the NCAA rules. It's all about time management, and I think that's where my gunnery experience served me so well, is that I was into the routine of getting up early, going to breakfast, going to classes in the morning, and then athletics in the afternoon.
Can you tell me a little bit about your professional career?
So my professional career started out in Boston, in the Boston Bruins organization. And my first year I went to the big training camp in Wilmington with the Bruins, and I wasn't there that long. I was probably there about 8 or 9 days, and that was quite an experience to skate with Ray Bork and Glenn Wesley, and Cam Neely was actually recovering from that leg check he received from Ulf Samuelsson in the early 90s. So that was pretty neat. And then I got relegated down to Charlotte in the East Coast Hockey League, and that was a great experience because I had a chance to play for a gentleman by the name of John Marks, who played for the Chicago Blackhawks for a long time. And pro hockey is just different than college. You play 4 games in 4 nights, and you're riding the bus, long bus trips, 7, 8 hours, 9 hours.
Now, do you remember the exact turning point where you knew that you weren't going to play professionally and that you wanted to pursue a career in education?
Yeah, it was probably my first year, although I played 2 more years after. I was in Wheeling, West Virginia, and I think we were traveling from Wheeling to Dayton, and I got beat up by a guy named Darren Schwartz, who about a couple weeks before I'd gotten a fight and had about 17 stitches over my left eye, and then I took the shield off that game because we had the stitches removed, and I took the shield off, and sure enough, that night, I don't know what happened, but I got tangled up with Darren Schwartz, and I got tangled up with the wrong guy because he was a leading penalty minute leader in the East Coast Hockey League. He cut me up and pretty good, reopened the wound, and we had a long bus ride from Wheeling to Toledo, and I had the bag of ice on my head, and I was like, there's other ways that I can support my family.
And how and when did you know that you wanted to coach?
When I was at the University of Maine, Sean Walsh was a fantastic coach. He forced us to think like a coach would. He made us students of the game, and I think that's kind of the mystery of coaching, is to get your players to think like coaches out there. Like, at times I'm prone to this. I'm actually yelling and screaming to my players and telling them to move it out to the weak side or fly the weak side winger. You hit that perfect kind of crescendo when your players start doing that, and you don't have to tell them to do that. They just understand it. So that's the mystery for me. That's what I really like about it, trying to get young players just to become smarter hockey players, because that's ultimately what they are. They're an extension of John Dawson, my assistant coach in Maine.
Is it frustrating when you are continuously hammering something into your players and they're not picking it up?
It is. It's very difficult, but one of the things I realized over time is that they may not get it while they are here with me at Taft, but they will get it at some point. There's no doubt about it. I mean, adolescent boys cognitively develop at different stages. Most of them develop later, towards their junior and senior years. In some players, the light will go off when they're in their junior or senior year in college. As long as it goes off at some point, that's all that matters. And it actually forces me to have to look at things in a different way. How could I teach this differently?
And what advice would you give someone who wants to coach or someone who is coaching right now?
The game of hockey affords us tremendous opportunities to teach life lessons to young hockey players. And I think as coaches and aspiring coaches, we should take advantage of all those opportunities that exist, because at some point, hockey will end for the aspiring hockey player, and they want to be able to look back on their hockey playing days and say, you know what, I remember when we were in the New England Championship and we were winning 4-2 going to the third period, and we lost the game 5-4, and how that felt and how I reacted to that. I think that's so valuable, because you're gonna have setbacks in life, and your ability to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and get right after it is, I think, is the key.